Hello, friends. This is just going to be a quick one on the Afrophobia issues going on in South Africa. I came across a couple of videos on social media where some Africans are calling for retaliation against South Africa. Some Ghanaians are warning South Africans in Ghana to also leave or calling for the repatriation or the sacking, so to speak, of South Africans from Ghana. I believe that we have to grow beyond that level of thinking. Dr. King said something, he said, an eye for an eye will leave the world blind, and a tooth for a tooth will leave the whole world toothless. And as a matter of fact, what's going on in South Africa is for me, looking at it again from psychological point of view, is basically an indictment on leaders in Africa as a whole. It tells you the failure of leaders in Africa. Anytime people go through a pain, there has to be a systematic program to restore the people back to normalcy. And if you look at the Zulu Kingdom or the KwaZulu-Natal province, they suffered basically heavily from the colonization and the apartheid system, partly because they were considered a troublesome people. So basically, they suffered a lot of dehumanization, let me put it that way, from the apartheid system. So for me, I think that the governments in Africa, anytime, you see, not just even apartheid, but Africa went through colonization. And leaders who took over from the colonizers did not put any structural programs, systematic educational programs to deprogram us and to reshape our thinking and to remold our thinking back into society building. So what's going on in South Africa might seem too much, but it's a reflection of what goes on in every society when a society goes through pain. It happens in the United States. You go to certain parts of Chicago, you go to certain parts of New York. When people are dehumanized, they lose self-love. And so they hate themselves. And when they hate themselves, they would hate any other person who looked just like them. So I am pleading with those who are calling for retaliation. On the other hand, let's call on our governments. Let's have our governments deal with this issue diplomatically. I believe that the South African government needs to be sanctioned. It has to be woken up to sit up and take care of some serious issues. This is a very serious issue, and it's not just an issue for South Africans, but it's an issue for the whole of the African continent. It's a shame, not to South Africa, but to Africa as a whole. Because these issues, pockets of them happens in certain parts of Africa, except that it's not blown to this magnitude or to this proportion for the world to see. It goes on. Where people would hate their own Africans in the guise of these people are taking our jobs. These people are taking up the privileges that are supposed to go to us. In any case, you see, I was talking to a group the other time and I told them, when you listen to the people who were fronting the campaign against immigrants in South Africa, you realize they are very ignorant. very ignorant. They don't even understand the economic impact of what they are doing. You know, the fact that you have immigrants in your country does not mean they are the reason you are not getting jobs to do. As a matter of fact, most of the immigrants, the videos I came across, I might be wrong, somebody can correct me. You realize that most of the immigrants are doing their own jobs. They've opened shops, employing South Africans. So when you listen to their argument, you realize that it does not hold water. It is not because of the economic issues. It's a deep-seated pain and anger, not against foreigners, so-called foreigners, not against Africans, but against themselves. Is a deep-seated anger, which is coming from the dehumanization of the community. If you check the KwaZulu-Natal province, you realize they don't even have proper schooling systems. They are way behind. And so this calls for African Union. You need to come together and better do a good job. I mean, you've been slacking for far too long. This whole issue of Afrophobia in Africa, especially in South Africa, is as a result of lack of leadership on the part of Africa. So we don't have to retaliate as other nations, but let diplomatic sanctions speak. Let's wake the South African government up to start doing something. As the same way, wake up the African continent, African Union, start doing something. Because this is a great continent. In any case, those borders were put in place by our colonizers. We don't need borders. We are the same people. If you travel from the north of Africa to the south, from east to the west, you realize these are the same people, same culture, same way of doing things. So let's wake up Africa. Let's wake up African Union. And let's start building our continent. Let's start by changing the mindset, the thinking of the people. And we can do that through proper educational structures that will bring up the humanity in people, that will bring the enlightenment to people, that will bring the forward thinking out of us. And we together shall build a beautiful continent. We have no room for hate, no room for retaliation. This is an in-house business. Let's deal with it as Africans. Dr. King again says something. When violence begets violence, there is no victor nor vanquished. Thank you.